so it begins. And so it begins.
Ooh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Welcome to the Michael Butler Quarantine Radio Butz Show, live from Quarantine Studios. We are here, and we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, D'Vibes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, y'all. Oh, yeah. Welcome to the show today. A very special show today, Vibes. I got to be honest, I did this with you in mind. We were talking about how in your top five, you had to have Bernie Worrell in the top five list of all top five keyboardists. And I'm like, you know, I want to do a whole show about Bernie Worrell and exactly why that is, you know, because he might just be the singular, like I said earlier, most unique voice on any instrument in recorded music history, and his legacy is everywhere that you hear a recorded note in R&B. So that's basically how I feel about it, and I have a couple people joining me online that feel the same way. Both former Woo Warriors. Ladies and gentlemen, from Deep Banana Blackout, we have Lynn Durkin, and from the Organically Good Trio, we have Van Martin. Jen, Van, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thanks for, joining this mission here because, a lot goes on and, I just feel for a long time and, even still since his passing, not enough has been said about Bernie Worrell in this world of music, and that changes today.
Yes.
Oh, so true.
So, yes, this is very important business today, everybody.
It's much needed. This is a required lesson for today. I'm so glad you're doing this, Butz.
You know, and basically, it just came to me because, like, I know these guys. They have all kinds of stories to tell, and they keep telling me, like, oh, man, Bernie, like, I could tell you some stories. And, each one of them. And I'm like, I want to hear these stories. And I know D'Vibes wants to hear these stories, so like, I don't care like where it starts. Like, Jen, you're the elder statesman here. As far as like, I've been listening to you. I remember I opened up for you once at the Wetlands. You know what I mean? Like, for that, I'm gonna go back to you and let's start because I think your era with Bernie came just before Van. I think Van had said to me earlier that you guys actually just missed each other with Bernie.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. I remember, the first time I saw Van playing with Bernie was it was like a booze cruise, I think, around Manhattan. I think it was like the Rocks Off Boat cruise. Remember that?
Yeah, that definitely. I think we had done that, and we had also done a show at the Lion's Den where Bernie came in and was a guest with us. Believe it or not, with like Soja, like I think in 2000, maybe 2003 or something like that. But
I think the first time that I met, that I was like I think the Woo Warriors played like at the Middle East Cafe or something, or somewhere in Boston, and Spiritual Res I think was opening up. Is that right?
I know that we did. I know you had. The first time we met was you were playing the Middle East downstairs, and I came to see. And I remember I came to see you, and I was like, I had just I guess that previous summer played with Bernie in Chicago for the first time.
Okay.
So that
Yeah.
I think I was like, you know, just
We connected over that. I remember that, yeah.
yeah.
But to go back to the beginning
Yeah,
of
like
my
take me to
time
like
with
when
Bernie.
take me to when you know, like how you ended up getting the gig and you know, and how long you had it for.
Right on. Well, I really have Warren Haynes and Government Mule to thank for they had us Deep Banana Blackout opened for them on a bunch of shows in 98 and 99. And I think it was one of those shows in 99. No, it was 2000. We played right before them at a big festival in Jersey. And, you know, this was the last show I ever saw them play with Alan Woody.
Oh wow.
And Bernie was on the gig. Yep. Bernie was on the gig, and it was pretty amazing because, you know, that was really when I was sitting backstage with Bernie, he introduced me to his wife and manager, Judy Worrell, and that's kind of where we hatched the plan there for when I was leaving Deep Banana Blackout. They wanted me to come join the Woo Warriors, and I was pretty much stunned,
Right.
to say the least, because I didn't even know they knew who I was. You know what I mean? Like, I thought I was kind of just like meeting them for the first time, because, you know, I've been to so many shows, like, you know, not only P-Funk shows, but when Bernie would do any kind of like side projects and stuff. I used to live in the East Village in the early 90s, and I worked at SOBs, and my boss was Larry Gold, who also, you know, did shows all over Manhattan with, you know, you would join up with the Manhattan Center production guys, and I worked for him. Like, I was, you know, his receptionist. I was pretty much his personal secretary, and also for the Third World Music Agency and Groove Academy.
Oh wow.
So I knew all these promoters. Yeah, I was on the totally other
amazing.
side of the coin. Yeah, I was on the other side of the coin for about, you know, 3 or 4 years working for Larry Gold, and which that meant I could get on any guest list I wanted in the city, and I did.
Awesome.
I mean, I probably went to 300 shows that year,
Jesus.
at least, and over those 3 years.
And I thought I had it good.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was great, you know, like for me, just kind of, I just came out of music school and up at Berkeley, and I was just like, you know, just immersed in New York City and getting to go to every show. I mean, from like the Blue Note, you know, to Irving Plaza, you know, because I worked with all these people. So anyway, I went to a lot of shows where Bernie was playing, you know, like doing side projects and stuff with like T.M. Stevens and all these like legendary people, you know, and I was always in the front row, and I was the biggest fan of all time. So for somebody like me to even like meet Bernie was a big deal. But then to be like in a situation where I was like, wait a minute, what? I'm going to be in your band? It was like unbelievable to me. It was beyond like Cinderella story. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, it was nuts. I mean, I literally just, I was constantly just like floored. And when I met like some of the people that were in Bernie's band, like, for example, Greg Daffy Fitz, you know, that dude is in Bootsy's Rubber
Daffy
Band.
Duck.
He's in
Yeah.
Quasar. And when I met him at the first rehearsal, and Donna Mack and you know, some of the people that are in that picture. I sent you a picture of the Woo Warriors tour with the whole band there in 2001. And, you know, I met the father of my children, was playing drums, Gary Sullivan. G-Man, they call him, and you know, pretty much changed my life forever, you know. So anyway, I got a chance then to go on the road with the Woo Warriors. Pretty much, it was about 8 weeks after I left Deep Banana, you know, literally to the day. And you know, the reason I left Deep Banana was so I could have opportunities like this. And you know, I just realized that, you know, at a certain point, I was like, you know, just in a great place, thanks to, you know, the Mule and especially Warren Haynes, to just have been exposed to so many amazing venues and, you know, legendary players that, you know, I just had opportunities that I just couldn't say no, you know. And this was the greatest of them all. I mean, it was, you know, right up my alley, because for years, you know, Deep Banana was doing P-Funk covers, and
I mean,
you know,
everybody has basically does P-Funk covers.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like,
Like that's how big a deal it is. It's like it's a real big deal.
Right.
Massive catalog.
Yeah. So in essence, like yeah, and let's swing it to Van for a second. Like, how did you end up? You know, we're gonna go back and forth as we do this. How was it that you managed to link up with playing with the Woo Warriors? And right around when was that?
I guess that would have been the summer of 2003. I was like freshly home from being at Berkeley, actually, and I played in an Afrobeat band in Chicago called Ajuite, and one of the members of our band was friends with Melanie West, who was close friends with Judy Worrell, and she had seen me play, and Bernie needed actually a sub on guitar for the date in Chicago, and I was literally in my basement listening to Funkadelic like on vinyl, like jamming in my basement. And
I was just listening to it myself.
I pick up the phone and it's like this woman. She's like, "Do you know who Bernie is?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Do I know? I'm listening to him right now." You know, and I ended up, I think, sending her like maybe a cassette tape in the mail or even a CD in the mail at the time, and she ended up sending me, I think, like a bunch of CDs in the mail. And when I got the CDs in the mail, I called her and I was like, "I just got your CDs," and I was like, "Did I get the gig?" And she's like, "Yeah, you're on," because at the time, I mean, I was 19 years old, you know, so I was pretty freaked out, you know, and even one of the funnier things that happened, actually speaking, Jen mentioned Daffy in the sound check. So I'm up on stage with these guys, and I'm so nervous, and you know, young, and they keep asking me where the guitarist is. Like I think they just thought that I was like there to like bring backline or something. Right. And then finally they were like, "Oh, you're the guitar," because I was so young and like green and like wide-eyed and like, you know, in like an Aloha shirt, you know what I mean? And it was just a surreal experience. And that was really the night that Bernie and my friendship really, because I mean, that was a crazy show, sold out at the Double Door in Chicago, and I'll never forget it. My mom always says this. He on the mic was like, he said, "I found another one," you know, because like hadn't really done anything yet in my career or anything. And Bernie, that was just such a crazy memory of that show, you know. And there's some footage of the show. It's pretty, I mean, it was before all the technology we have now, so it's definitely kind of like pretty mangled footage, but it does exist, you know.
Yeah, well, definitely. You know, I'll be on the lookout for that. I always just want to see that stuff. I mean, I the thing about you and Jen that I wanted to pair together is not only do I know that you have all this respect and experience having played with Bernie Worrell, but when you talk about him, it's very clear that you have a very deep affection and love for him, and are even very protective of him, and for good reason, because his legacy is, you know, it's vast and still, like, I would have to say, generally misunderstood and even underappreciated to a certain degree. I mean,
yeah, he was really an extremely humble person. You know, he definitely shied away from any sort of, like, you know, pretense, or, you know, if anybody was, you know, fanboying out a little too much, it would definitely, you would shy away from that situation. And every time he would sign anything, like, there was always people trying to get him to sign all different kinds of, you know, albums, whatever, autographs. He was so gracious and kind, and he just engaged with people, and he gave him his full attention. And, you know, there's always a lot of people sort of like after him and wanting his attention, but he was so careful to, like, if he talked to you, he would just focus on you. And even though there might be somebody else like clamoring for his attention, he would just stay focused on you. And he would always sign, "Keep funk alive, keep the funk alive."
Yes.
That was his thing, that he always would sign that. He wouldn't sign his name. he would sign "Keep the Funk Alive," you know, and for him it was about this whole movement. It was about the music.
Right. Always about the music. I mean,
Yes.
and from where I'm coming from, you know, it's just like I feel as though he like tore into like a sonic dimension. You know, like his chords were more than chords. Like his sonic tonal concept reflected an imagination, not a scale you find in a you know, a book that they hand you in school.
Right. Like, you know, the beginning of Gaming on You was
Yeah.
always this kind of, every night it would be like this different, like, instrumental interlude that would be the intro for it. And everybody was waiting for that first hit. And every night he would play some other, like, crazy, like, intro into it before hitting the, you know, dun, 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 dun,
Yeah,
dun,
exactly.
before he would hit that part. And
Yeah.
one night, he totally did this, like, insane backflip, musical backflip from, like, Benny and the Jets into Gaming on You. And everybody in the band was just, like, cracking up with just, like, once we hit that, they hit the one, and everybody came in, and it was just, like, right on it. But it was just, like, insane the way he would do stuff like that, and it was different every night.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, you know, Van, maybe you can tell me like just something that you know, like really captures you know, his spirit, and like something like that you look back on that, like, you know, that a moment that you may have had that makes you smile, that really captures something that people might not like generally you know, even begin to understand to characterize. Like, how do you characterize Bernie?
I mean, I can certainly echo what Jen was saying about how in personal conversations, how he would not break the focus of being like one with you. You know, it's almost like he was able to, you know, just put up, you know, blinders to everything that was going on. And he had that same precision in his music. But one thing that really spoke to me is like when he would, when he would call, he would leave like a 2-minute voicemail, like just telling you about like what he was doing. You know, it wasn't just like, hey man, what's going on? I missed your call, hit you back. He would actually just expound upon what he was doing, where he was. And like, I saved a lot of those messages just so I could play it back and just like take in like, oh man, so, you know, that day he was, you know, on this gig or doing this or that and I think that it's just, I guess that's what, you know, the depth of friendship that I felt from Bernie is like, I can't even really, it's almost challenging to put in words, but just the way he was dialed in and how he, I guess, treats people and how it just translates in how dialed in he was in his music and what he was sharing with people. I mean, I've never really experienced like watching someone play keyboards in close to me where I felt that energy. Like there's just this like outer space, like beyond anything energy that came out of the keyboards. And I felt like I was always learning every time.
Yeah,
You know?
I think this is a good place to swing to D-Vibes because the only place that like personally I've ever heard like a conjuring on the keyboards that like stirred similar sentiment is coming out of the keyboards of my man D-Vibes.
Yeah, man.
Keep the Funk Alive sounds a lot like something you would sign on every on every autograph.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's what we're here to do, man. Because you know the focus is like what I love about Bernie, man. Is you can tell the music was first. You know, that's why I can take you to a lot of different places because just from the way people play their instrument, you can hear like their ego coming out, or if it's more about look at me or look what I could do, rather than like I'm gonna make you like bob your head until your head falls off, you know?
Yeah.
Or like I'm just add like this little string part over here that, you know, that's kind of different, or I'm gonna put this major chord over this minor part that just mixes it really well, man. It's like when I listen to him, he's such a painter, you know, of the sound. the space between, like, I mean, he just took up the whole frequency from the bass to, like, you know, the high end.
I mean, like no one knew what had happened, like the first time they heard him drop that synth bass. I mean, he revolutionized the game. You know, like that was just like, people wonder how, like, we were blessed to, like, come up with you know, like those sounds, the synth bass. Well, it was Bernie Worrell, plain and simple. Came right out of his brain. You know, I think Vibes. You actually met Bernie once, and he sort of like got to check out your playing, and you know, tell me a little bit about how that went down, and I think ended up talking a little bit.
Yeah, man, that was one of the craziest.
Where was that?
In my life, man. That was at Club Church, man. In Boston. You know, I was still in school then, so I had to come to sound check right after I got out of class. And I show up to Club Church, you know, I'm like freaking out, you know. So I'm like, dude, this is Bernie Worrell, you know, the keyboard player's dream, you know, like what 3 keyboard players would you want to see? It's like Herbie, Bernie, and, you know, like George Duke. You see, I'm like, dude, like, he's responsible for, like, everything I love, you know. Yeah, personally.
And I have to jump in, like, today on the you know, on the new climate of Facebook, where it's become like the real place for musicians to stay busy while we can't go outside and play for people in person. So, you know, Deshawn has been spending his time making tracks, and he's actually made a track with Schmeens today and laced it while live streaming. And it just and knowing that I was going to do a show about Bernie, and then I'm listening to Vibes. He knew he was doing a show about Bernie, and he's lacing like a straight Bernie lead on this. And it's like, you cannot listen to like anyone's playing, especially when like funk and synthesizers come into play, and not hear just like an ocean of influence that came straight from the cosmos of Bernie Worrell.
Straight from the master, man.
So what kind of words of wisdom did he drop on you that day, if any?
Man, dude, he told me one of the greatest things he really broke it down for me, like, because this is funny. I get from class, you know, the guys forgot my keyboard stand. This is before I was playing guitar. So I'm holding the keyboard in my hand. The whole set got it like balanced on my knee in a magical way. after he just comes like, man, dog, you the shit. You got this shit. Don't let nobody tell you shit. Don't take no shit. This is yours.
Wait, say it again. Say it again. You broke up just a little bit. What did he say? Don't let anyone tell you shit. What did he say?
Don't let nobody tell you shit. Cause you got this shit. Cause this is your shit, and you shit. That's what Bernie Worrell told me, man.
That's great, man. I'm really just glad he got to hear you play.
Yeah, for certain. That's such a blessing.
Man, it really is, man. Like, I mean, you can't even like describe like he was like right there for so much, like rock and roll, because Funkadelic had like more like that hard rock sound, you know? It's
right.
Like, when you listen to like the Chili Peppers, they just kind of ripped off Funkadelic sound. I love the Chili Peppers, you know, but it's like when I listen to like Super Stupid, and I'm like, there goes their whole sound right there in this song, you know?
Yeah, and you know, I really feel like, you know, I really feel like I'd be leaving a major thing if I don't just like take a moment to expound on the fact that like he went, you know, he's done a lot of musical projects in a context that people didn't even know, but most famously, he went from Parliament and then ended up playing for a good stretch of time with the Talking Heads. And
he broke Burning Down the House.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, and on the Stop Making Sense Timeless concert, you know, like he changed the whole complexion of that band They've even talked about that. It's like the effect that Bernie Worrell had on that music was like astronomical, and it turned them into a mega band. Like they were like sort of an underground band until he joined, and he blew them up. I mean, it's that sound that is the biggest thing. He is like the man who created like such a specific sort of party dance floor vibe that has like dominated music ever since. And yet he was a simple, unassuming man who most people just said, yeah, he ain't from here because he's just, he just seems like, he comes from the galaxy, which, sonically he represents.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you think about Talking Heads music and their catalog with Bernie on it, I mean, the hooks of a lot of their hit songs are those synth hooks, and it's like I'll be anywhere. You can be anywhere. You can be like pumping gas, or like you'll be like in a coffee shop or anywhere, and I'll hear Naive Melody or Burn It Down the House or any of those tunes, and I'm always like, Bernie's here with me right now. Right. Like no matter how despair, like I'll be in like a despair vibes moment, like middle of the night somewhere, just like on the road, and like I'll pull over and I'll hear like some synth up in the sky somewhere, up in one of the speakers, and I'm like, Bernie's with me right now. This is a sign he's here, just like shining down in this moment.
I always feel that way about Joyful Process.
Oh yeah, that's so awesome.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, so yeah, throw down something, Jen. I know you've been you've had a lot of time to think about it. I wanted to hear something like singularly from you as well that really captures a moment that you treasure, perhaps between you and Bernie. Like,
all right, well, Bernie did a record back in the day. When they were doing kind of their own records. I think it was like just 78. He put out this record called Woo Together, and it was
Woo Together. That's my joint.
We actually did, because we did a lot of the really rare Funkadelic and the Bernie side project tunes, and we did Burn It Down the House in the Woo Warriors when I was in the band, and it was just fun. It was a staple in that we always opened the second set with Woo Together. And it was so great because me and Bernie and Greg would like alternate on the verses, and they were short little it's kind of like the song is like there's a verse about LA, there's a verse about DC. It's kind of like being a song about being on the road, and Bernie was constantly on the road. I mean, it never stopped, and I was just amazed at his drive. And so that song in particular, when you talk about like themes and like, his classical music that he brought, the training that he brought to Funkadelic with like a choir master, he wove so many like, fugues and themes and canons into the music. And, it was just like at the end, the best part of that song, Woo Together, at the very end, and, because Bernie was singing pretty much all the lines on the studio record, but the last, at the end, it's like the ride out. Bernie comes in with this: "We would just convention at the annual funk convention. We'll be calling for some woo from your town. When we do, we'll never stop. There'll be funk and there'll be bow. And the groove will be united at the top." Say what? And then everybody would repeat it.
Right.
That's so awesome.
That's the quintessential Bernie, because you didn't hear him sing a lot on the Parliament record, but on his solo album, he sang all over it, and he was a great singer. And he sang a lot in the Woo Warriors too. He was awesome, and just the way he interwove all of us together and made us all like he was the conductor. He was always conducting us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad he got that chance, to be a band leader and do that, because his creativity is something, and it's like, maybe Funkadelic leaned a little heavier on the guitar players, but whereas by the Parliament sound is almost like you said, that fugal stuff, like it's almost entirely built upon Bernie Worrell idea. Like it's so clear.
His writing though, he's prolific writer on those Funkadelic tunes too. All over it.
Right, and don't forget that well, I mean, obviously I wouldn't say that any of us do, but like for the listening audience, like the Bernie Worrell sound from Parliament became like the West Coast rap backbone. It was the whole. It lived again as hip hop samples everywhere.
Yeah,
man, that's
really a
because we all need the
and
woo,
the other
we
thing
all
about
need the woo.
His solo albums, Gary Scheider was all over it. And Eddie Hazel and Tiki Fullwood played drums on it. So the side projects, they all played on each other's side projects.
Right.
But I think that it was like that. He had like a certain a thing with and Boogie, on bass. He had like a certain thing with that like grouping of people that were on that record that was just for me really it was true Funkadelic, like the rest of it was like Parliament, but those guys are like the core Funkadelic guys,
right. Yeah. Well, and what a magic, cauldron that, George Clinton assembled. Because I think he knew exactly what he had, It's like, as a scientist, I think, I almost relate to that as someone, who puts bands together or gets to play with different people. And it's almost like what you're going to get if you, bring these people together, and that's kind of where I'm coming from with you guys. Like, I feel like, one of these days I'm going to, see you guys hanging out, maybe do something special for Bernie. I mean, that's kind of what I'm getting at one of these days.
Oh, that would be so
sweet. I did put something together for it. There was a festival that happened about 3 months after Bernie passed. And it was, basically a Forever Grateful festival. So it was a lot of Dead cover bands.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
And the friends of mine were the promoters. And I said, hey, listen, I really would like to do something, Forever Bernie. And of course, they said, sure, of course. And they gave me, like, a great spot. It was, like, right before the last band of the night. Like, we got to play the second to last band of the night. And I had, Rico Lewis come out, who, played P-Funk for years, and he was, with me, and had some of the guys from the Bernie Worrell Orchestra, and as well as, just tried to, kind of pull together all my favorite songs from the Woo Warrior days, and just had a blast. We just had like a very on a very small scale, something that we should do exactly what you're talking about though in the future, and do a big tribute. I'm totally down.
Yeah. I think we would all do anything to be a part of that and see that come to fruition. I know Vibes. You actually been linked up with like the P-Funk crew lately. Like maybe bring some of those cats in on it.
Yeah, because like she said Rico Lewis. I also played Rico Lewis in the Sons of Funk.
Exactly.
So we love those guys. But it is about keeping this funk alive, and keeping building off of what they gave us, Yeah,
and I feel like that crew is sort of keeping it alive, and they kind of had the similar reaction that Bernie did when they heard you. It's like they sort of knew that I think this is the one. Like this is the kid who can do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thinking about Bernie in general, I mean, Bernie's played on a lot of recordings. Like, if you ever want to completely blow your minds, look up Bernie's discography, because he's on so much non-funk music too.
Right.
One of the things that I remember hanging out with years ago, we had him as a special guest. We did the Paradise for an album release show, and he was there with us, and he loved playing reggae, man. He loved it. He loved the freedom of the bubble on the organ, you know, and
sure.
I mean, he played on, you know, Burning Spear's record, and Lee Perry, a ton of dub records with Bill Laswell. So I mean, as far as it was interesting, it's like I feel like I got to play a lot of reggae music with Bernie, which is like a really unique opportunity, just because it's just like another voice that he had, and something that, like, hearing his approach to playing, even like doubling a bass on the clavinet,
right?
You know, and like what that voice would be like in that kind of a pocket was just such a deadly feel. Like, he would double the bass on the clav on the reggae stuff, and it was like you were in the Funkadelic world and the Bob Marley world, and it was all like fusing together in this vibe. And I remember just hearing that and being like the depth of his pocket, like it's like a, you know, with an envelope filter sound, how it's just like a waveform.
Oh yeah,
that's like being pulled inside out. You would feel that inside your stomach.
I believe
like,
you. I know,
you know,
that's
like,
right.
Like it would be like that, but it's like in you,
right.
And you're looking at him, and he's like so in it, but then you'll catch his eye, and it was like almost hysterical, like hilarity there, because he you know, he caught you, you know, just like in that moment, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm trying my best to articulate that, but I mean, I think, you know, just to punctuate that thought, I mean, definitely, anyone that doesn't know Bernie's music, I would employ them to dig deep into the discography.
Sure.
Because there's so much, all the stuff he did with Bill Laswell, especially, some of it's kind of under the radar, but that stuff is just, I mean, you hear textural stuff where like 3 minutes has gone by and it's just quiet organ playing the most Sun-Ra, reharmed, deep harmony ever.
Sure.
And
I was a big fan of the first Praxis record when it came out. I totally remember that one.
Huge stuff, man. Oh, man.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when it comes, I just wanted to, you know, maybe even shift gears when it comes down to it. But before I do, I had to mention that you were talking about, like, him doing the left-hand clav. And it's just like, we talking a lot about his synth playing and how he's famous for creating like a unique voice on the synthesizer and maximizing that equipment in a way that, you know, hadn't been done. But it's like, we shouldn't just say that that's like where he made his mark, because as a clavinet player, he is one of a kind. He is no one even comes close to him on the clavinet.
Yeah. I mean, when you listen at him, some of those parts that you thought were guitar parts are actually Bernie on the clav.
Absolutely.
You know? And like you would never even realize that he would get those tones. It's wild, you know.
It really is, and that's what I mean. I mean, we can talk about everything. Like, of course, if you've been listening to the show the last few nights, you know, we've been talking about everything. We go in and out of talking about music, and then reality starts rearing its ugly head these days. But you know what? It's amazing how when Bernie Worrell is at the center of the conversation, there's just no point in talking about the outside world. We don't need to get into all that. You know what I mean? Like fuck that.
Yeah,
sorry.
No, these are all good memories. And just one thing I'll tell you about Bernie's clavinet before I pass it on. Bernie had this clavinet that had like very old cartoon comic strips lacquered to the keyboard. So you look at the keyboard and it was just cartoons.
Like, do you remember what kind of cartoons?
Yeah, like old, like Looney Tunes, like Daffy Duck and like Mickey Mouse, like really old, probably like the earliest cartoon strips. Someone had stripped those keys and lacquered them to his clavinet keys.
That is
it was the craziest keyboard I've ever seen, dude.
Yeah, and that's another thing. That's another thing that since, I'm used to doing an audio-based show, but there is a video link here, but it's nothing that you're going to see by looking at me. You know what I mean? There's pictures, Lammy I see is like putting up pictures of Bernie, but he had a singular style, not just, in what he played and just the way he lived and the way he expressed himself, and that, went all the way down to fashion. Like, nobody even knew what to do with this guy when he walked in the room. He was famous for his hats.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For real.
I mean, you just knew that you had a cat. Like, you could feel him. Like, much like you would feel his playing. It's just like he would walk in the room. You would know. You just know. It's just weird how you know about a cat when he's just standing there, and it's just like, uh-oh.
It's all energy, man. It's energy for sure.
And it was just amazing too. Like, the things that he would get me involved in. That he would just like he wanted me to always. He always pushed me out and said, "Come and sit in with us." Like, I remember he did this thing once with Stanley Jordan and Leo Nocentelli at BB King, and Stanton Moore was on drums, and it was like this total super group, right? And he, like, I wasn't on the bill or anything. He totally made sure that I got out on stage and sang a few songs. Felicia Collins from the Late Night Show was up there, and I was like, what am I doing up here? And he just was, involving me in all this stuff. And every so often, some other really famous people would be, like coming up to him and like, fanboying out, just freaking out about like one time I remember the Bernie's drummer, went with him to, and he went backstage at a Snoop Dogg show, and I was on the phone with the drummer from Gary from the Woo Warriors, and I could hear in the background, I can hear Snoop fanboying out over Bernie, and like telling all his friends, he's like, dog, this is the OG, and I, just freaking out over the fact that Bernie was in his dressing room, and it was crazy. I wish I was in the room for that one. But I heard it But he was so unassuming, so just totally humble, and would always like push us out in front, like me and Gary and other people in the group. He would always be like, oh, and have you met my lead singer? Have you met my drummer? And just involving us in the whole thing. It was so deep. Going anywhere with him was just like, it was so special, being on the road and stuff like that. And I got to be in another like cool super group thing with him at Cervantes Ballroom. Oh God, I don't know, probably 10 years ago, with George Porter.
Okay.
And he, they kind of asked me to make up like a set list, because the guy who hired us was the owner of Cervantes, and he was like having this big birthday party. So I asked, what are some of your favorite songs? And he gave me a bunch of like requests that were Bob Marley and like reggae tunes. And, everything, we did everything from the Meters to Bob Marley to Funkadelic.
Wow.
And Dave Watts, from the Motet was on drums. And I'm telling you, man, the way Bernie just like solidified that whole thing, like we're talking about with the clav.
Yeah.
And like playing funky clav over reggae tunes. I mean, it was like locking up like nobody's business, and people were going crazy that night. That was one of the coolest parties I've ever played.
Yeah, I mean,
what an epic lineup! Oh my gosh!
Yeah, that's kind of his gift. Is like he creates so much glue between everyone else. Like, it's just like he is the space between. Like, it's just, and he uses it like by creating depth and like colors, like painting, shadings, like D'Vibes was saying.
Yeah, and it's like we think like, who was really the purple one before Prince?
Sure.
Bernie. It was Bernie, man. He was the true purple one, man.
I feel you've on that vibes.
The royalty, man.
Well,
like,
okay.
even when you listen to Prince, like when Prince played piano, he wanted to sound like Bernie.
Oh yeah.
For
well,
real.
I think everyone just wanted to sound like Bernie. I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. Even guys like Herbie Hancock wanted to sound like Bernie.
Yeah, these are facts, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like there's this kind of a rawness, just like, and also like it, just to music nerd out on it, just like there's no way to define Bernie's harmony. Like Bernie, like there was no key. It was like the freest playing I've ever experienced, you know? Like you could, as far as like in the key of a song, he could take stuff so far out harmonically and bring it back to like the heart center like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's really nothing like.
Yeah, because when you stop and think about it, he goes all the way out, but he goes all the way in. I mean, that's the thing. It's like he like his funk grooves make you dance. Like that he plays the shit that makes you dance, and yet he goes all the way out further, like into like atonalism and just outrageousness, space, like he was in Sun Ra's band, like the electric equivalent. It's like it's nothing you could even possibly imagine.
Yeah,
coming out of
it makes me so happy thinking about it too. You know.
Well, that's the best thing. That is the best thing right there. And
I think that's why they named that documentary about him, "Stranger on Earth."
Right, because they thought, because he's just like comes from somewhere else. There's a few musicians that have come around that, I think today, like a good example of someone who fits that sort of mold is Mono Neon, he's sort of like, Mono Neon is committed to like living like in the in-between and like in the funkosphere. Like D'Vibes is like, just like, like a sweater in the summertime, a sweatshirt in the summertime away from the... No, but see, D'Vibes is like, shirtless with a keytar, and that's what it is. No, D'Vibes is shirtless in the winter with a keytar.
Yeah,
it's kind of the opposite.
365 days a year.
That's right.
Shirtless with a keytar.
Shirtless with a keytar.
D'Vibes, we used to play some music together when you were still in Boston, man. I really feel like I remember I think even telling you that I felt like some of your playing reminded me of Bernie when we first started playing together,
Yeah, man, we were doing something like the Neff Rock All-Stars.
And we were playing mostly P-Funk covers.
Yep.
Yeah.
See, that's what everyone's doing.
That's what he said.
It goes right back to it, man. It's just like, and I realize more and more every day that, that Funkadelic and P-Funk, I mean, that Parliament, that's my favorite band. Like, Brides of Funkenstein, like, Bootsy's Rubber Band. It's like, that stuff is just like, can't touch this, it's just too hot.
Yeah, I'll never forget seeing Bernie play with Bootsy, and it was Razor Sharp on keys too, and hearing those two guys go head to head on the keys was just a mind-blowing experience,
Yeah, man. It's like, because when you hear him, man, like, the way he described it was he just welcomed, like, because, like, they used to have, like, the keyboard army. It was, like, him, like, Junie Morrison, like, Don Blackman. Like,
Don Black.
I mean, like, these guys are, like, monsters in funk, and they're, like, basically, like, all sons of, like, Bernie, like, his style was able to, like, like,
yeah,
it's like sometimes when you play with different keyboard players, it's like the harmony doesn't lock in, but his harmony locks in with everything, no matter what. Like, no matter what. It's crazy.
Hey, I think this has just been great, and I hate to, try to wrap things up, but I know we've been on for quite some time, and I appreciate all your time, and I know, it's always a buzzkill to have to shut this off, and, and then just sort of like, oh yeah, that's right, but, I was hoping to get some recommendations from you guys as to maybe like a live clip. We have to dodge the the algorithm on what I play on this show. So basically, maybe like you have like a live Bernie thing that you could find, or something that you guys do. I mean, before actually I get up and get out of here, I just want to hear maybe a little bit about what you guys are up to, and if there's anything you can direct our listening audience to as far as ways to check you out or projects you're involved in. Maybe even if we're not playing shows, some people are doing some live streams. Some people are, have albums for sale and all that kind of stuff. There's always something we can do to keep to stay afloat out there while we aren't playing shows. So maybe let's start with you, Van. I know you've been up to something. I went to you actually with Organically Good Trio. Debuted your own OGT strain of marijuana smoking. Marijuana.
We have our own cannabis named after the band, Organically Good Tangy, and we're super blessed to have made the link with Best Friend Farms. Those guys are up in Maine and doing all living soil, organically grown herb, and they've been incredibly supportive of the band. So I know we got to release and do our release party in Cambridge, and that was something I never thought that would ever happen in my lifetime. But we did it, and it was a pretty exciting and fun experience.
Yeah, I have to agree. I got to go to that, and it was fun to check you out over there. The show was great, and it was a good smoke. What can I tell you?
Right on, man. Well, we got it's definitely something that I'm really happy that people can find medicine for their mind now, and without the stigmatization, and also with what we're doing with that, I just, that band, I'm super proud and honored to be a part of Organically Good Trio. It's been a really we've had Jen get up and sing with us before, and that was like an I think, what, didn't we do some Led Zeppelin with you, Jen?
We did.
That was,
you guys rock.
That was
Nice.
so much fun. So
yeah, I know Jen throws down on the Zeppelin hard.
Oh,
yeah.
Dude. So that's been a huge, really fun start to the year. And then, we just did our first Organically Good Trio live stream concert this past weekend, and that was a real treat. Gearing up to do one this Friday at 4 p.m. On Eastern Time, and that's going to be also put out on Root Fire TV and their platform. They're doing great stuff, giving artists a platform to do concerts from home right now.
Yeah, Root Fire, you said.
Yeah, so
yeah.
that's kind of what's been going on as of late.
Yeah, that is really what's going on. Each in their own way. You know what I mean? It's like before we were all staying inside. I was outside a lot playing shows, and now I'm doing the best I can as a one-man band. It's like I got me and I got Lammy, and it's like it was either do a radio show, or it would be like me on drums and Lammy on bass, or it would be like bass. Lammy actually, is a pretty serviceable bass player. He's actually we were making tracks, and I was like, yo, dude.
Yeah, maybe you got the quarantine band going soon enough, right?
The quarantine funk. I think we need to put out an album at this point. Like all of my guests, we're gonna pass like a project around, and everyone's gonna lay some tracks on it, and it'll be the quarantine funk. And mixed by John Lammy. Yeah, you're on the gig. Oh, that's so great. Okay, so what do you guys right. And Jen, tell me what you're up to, and if you want to, if you got any projects. I know you've been if you had any albums with the business lately, or I know we're all on break, and you've been teaching voice. I also know that. So like maybe there's something you want to bring to the people's attention while you got theirs.
Well, I think the next show is July 4th.
Okay.
Playing at Captain's Cove. With Jen Durkin in the business, and if you guys come down, I promise you'll hear a fat, stinky version of Stuffed and Fangs.
Nice.
Oh,
I
nice.
promise. we pretty much do it every show because that's my favorite tune that we used to do with Bernie back in the day. That, and you know, I would say if you're gonna play any like YouTube stuff, I think there's a good live version of like Biological Speculation, the Woo Warriors, and Stuff and Things. I think there's a good Bernie. Maybe it might be Bernie Worrell Orchestra with the Stuff and Things. But yeah, so we did that. We opened up for Bernie in New Haven, Bernie Worrell Orchestra with Jen Durkin in the business, and
could it be Funksters, P-View, Biological Speculation, and the Woo Warriors live? Or
it could be. I mean,
or Jersey's Talking.
Any one of those will be good, I'm sure.
Oh, sure, of course. All right, well, you know, you could. Yeah, no, I'll figure it out. But thank you. Anyone, if anyone else has any ideas too, I can play more than one. You know, if it works out.
Insurance man of the funk.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, look, I'm going to jump to a break, but, you know, I think I'm going to come back and just do a little section because I want to play a little bit of D-Vibes' session from earlier, which started out as Shmeen's guitar track. And Shmeen's made the drum beat, guitar, and he shipped it off, and the bass, I believe. Shmeen's was making tracks early this morning. And then he passed it off to Vibes to lay some tracks on top for the Facebook audience. And it's like, you know, these are two of my best friends doing a little quarantine collabo, and I just think that's neat. So maybe we'll get Shmeen's if he's still. I'm pretty sure he's passed out by now, to be perfectly honest with you. We're going to see how
cool. I finally got a chance to play some guitar with Shmeen's last year during Jazz Fest, and that was it was so fun that we finally got to play together, man. It was a total treat, you know.
Yeah. No, we had talked about that before. Like, I see you two as very kindred spirits. So I'm also glad about that. But hey, Van, Jen, Vibes, I'm going to come get you after the break. But you guys, thanks for doing this. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
And
thank you, Bud.
Awesome, guys.
You got it. And best of luck to you in the coming weeks ahead.
And we'll send love out to Bernie, man. We miss him, and this was a very, very heartical way to share his energy with everyone, and I really appreciate you guys. Thank you. You know.
Man,
keep the funk alive.
Keep the funk alive.
Keep the funk alive.
Keep the funk alive.
Will keep going. The funk will not stop. It cannot stop.
It will not.
It shall not be stopped.
All right. Later, guys. And we'll be right back. Peace.
P-Funketeers of the world unite. It's Funksters Preview. And it's coming at you. All the way live. All the way live.
It's just a biological speculation. Sitting here vibrating, we don't know what we're vibrating about. It's just the animal instincts in me that makes me wanna defend me. It makes me wanna live when it's time to die. Y'all see my point. I don't mean It's just a biological speculation. Sitting here vibrating, we don't know what we're vibrating about. It's just the animal instincts in me that makes me wanna live. It makes me wanna live when it's time to die. You see my brain. I don't mean to come on strong, but I answer. And I believe in God. And I know that Lord must breathe through. And that when the system creates of its hunger and the laws of nature will come and do its thing. Just like fiction just rectified. She comes in the balance of books. Y'all see my point. Y'all see my point.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome back to the Michael Butler, formerly midday show. Still the Butz Show, even though, this is not, the normal scenario by which I would have decided to go and do some radio. But sometimes, we don't get to, plan what we do that much. This was not planned. This was just something that simply had to be done. Right? D-Vibes.
Whatever.
Listen, I don't know if you all really understand. You didn't necessarily know I did a radio show. A lot of people watching right now. But I did, and D-Vibes used to do that with me. And
yeah.
We used to come in, spend many a morning listening to the funk, talking about the funk, celebrating life, having a good time.
Celebrating the life, keeping the funk alive.
Man, that was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, man. And it still is. We're having some fun now.
Well, I wasn't saying that now wasn't going to be fun. D'Vibes, I mean, or else why would I, like, you know, do something like that and then come back just so we could hang out? You know what I mean? Like, we're here to have that fun right now. I needed to have that fun. Hey, you know, maybe I'm gonna play your live stream, or you can send me, email me a track.
Yeah, play.
Email me the track. You should email me the track. And then,
my computer's acting kind of wonky right now.
Yeah, you know, I have to tell you, your live stream was cutting out every once in a while.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just way too funky.
You know, look, it didn't stop me from, like, getting back on it. Because, you know, like, I'm like a bulldog. I'm like a hound dog for the funk. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like, since we've been refracted into social media world, I'm like a hound dog for the funk. Like, my nose is just like...
Yeah.
I'm like online all day, like... You know what I mean? I'm in there like, oh, wait. So, I want to give a shout out to Lee Ross, because the legendary Lee Ross, or Lee Legend, as I like to call him, went in last night. He did 4 sets, I believe, of like a Sunday night. I think it's like the kind of Sunday night he used to do at the Middle East upstairs. Not upstairs, the corner bar.
In the corner?
Yeah,
okay.
Lee would do, I think, Milk and Cookies, he called the night. Anyway, it was Milk and Cookies with Lee Ross. And his lovely girlfriend Stefania was dancing around. It's like a nice setup. He's got an audience. I'm freaking jealous. But anyway, Lee is like king right now because he's used to gigging as a man of one. Like, he's like one of the few acts that can go on in this type of situation, but like give you the same exact, show that you were going to get anyway. It's just Lee is bringing you the exact set that he brings, and it's really cool. Like, I thought it was just so cool because honestly, like, it's just like what I would have been doing on a Sunday night, except he played 4 sets. I mean, I didn't get in there until like the third set was like at like, I think, at like 2:15, and the fourth set was at like 3:25. He like announced it. I was so excited because like I hadn't even I had to decompress a little from the radio, and then by the time like I was ready to chill out, there he was, Lee. I had something to do. It's like, thank you, Lee.
Going in 4 sets.
4 sets, D'Vibes. He was doing his damn thing. It's like he was the main attraction and the after party, all virtual.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, this is what we're doing. Want to thank my guests. We had, I know, like Van said, the Organically Good Trio put on a live stream. I think Johnny Trauma, I saw. The B3 Kings are doing live streams. You should check all that out. Maybe I'll talk to Johnny. I'm going to talk to Johnny. We'll talk to Johnny one of these days, I think that's definitely a good idea. I don't think I've ever even talked to Johnny Trauma on the air. I mean, I've talked to Johnny Trauma. Gosh. But, I don't... I don't know about it. I don't know what else has gone down. I don't know where I've been, but Johnny's one of the hardest working, men in Boston pre-quarantine and post-quarantine. It's like, PQ is a thing. It's like, oh, we were really big, PQ, right? Or P Corona, I don't know, PC. We were really big before the the big virus, the big V. What are we going to refer to this period as? And like I said, when we were talking to Smalley, I was able to like bring out that I kind of think that Almond's 50th anniversary show sort of brought to like a neat close on Tuesday night, like the end of this chapter of live music culture. And
they had like 19,000 people there, man.
Yeah, it was the last major show, and it was a show that connected to the past. Like, the future is ahead of us. Like, and we're gonna create that when we get back there. Like, and we're all hungry to get back there. I think that's the one thing that people are really not even sure. How large that wave is gonna hit when it hits. But like that musical wave that's coming when all of us get back on stage and like turn on the amps again.
That's what I'm saying. Like, do you understand? Like, see, a lot of people are sad. But you gotta be. I'm getting excited to like hone in a little bit on like my craft and get ready to come back like even stronger. You know, like, because you know people are gonna they're looking to get out on that first day whenever all this is over with.
Right.
You know, people are gonna be ready, and I'm gonna be right there for them with the funk.
All right, so let's see. Yeah, we're all going to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't even planning. I thought I was, maybe I would do radio someday, but I've been gigging. Like Barely Dead has been crushing it lately. We're doing really well. Hey, good band.
Yeah.
So, I've been with them, and it's been great. I've been busy. I've been happy. I mean, ultimately, I love doing radio, but I'm a singer. I want to sing. A singer's got to sing. Musician's got to music. You know what I mean? A player's got to play.
Yeah, players got to play.
It's
gonna be a part of the day when the players play.
Exactly, D'Vibes. So that's what I'm doing. But I didn't know I'd be back like this. But hey, I'm back, and I don't know that I'm going anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, I don't anticipate going nowhere. I'm gonna find a way to keep this show going because like I like what we're doing too much. Like, we used to do this all the time. That's a thing, and I didn't think we'd be doing it again like this, Vibes. Like, not like this. And yet we're doing it again. And we're really doing it now, Vibes. It's cool, man. People are watching, man. It's cool,
man. It's picking up, man. You know what I'm saying, dude?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
so,
I dig it, man. And what a perfect day, man.
Seriously,
to have a tribute, man, to the greatest funk keyboard player ever, man.
Yeah, it's kind of like that because when where funk is concerned, there's like a list of greats. Like, for example, when you want to talk about great saxophone players, you know what I mean? You talk about John Coltrane, right?
Yeah, Coltrane,
Charlie Parker.
Of course, Stanley Turrentine.
Yeah, I mean, so everyone knows, right, Sonny Rollins, like everyone.
Those guys got a sound.
Right, okay.
When you heard Maceo.
There you go, Vibes.
It created like a whole different, like, you know what I'm saying? Maceo, play your horn.
Yeah.
James Brown set up the saxophone to come in like the funkiest way. After that, it was just like,
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like much like Bernie was like he has like a singular voice in funk keys. Like Maceo Parker is a singular voice in funk sax. It's like you can't, it takes nothing away from these other players, but like I don't know what some of these guys would do on a funk record. But like there's some sax players who can play funk too. There's no doubt about it, like the Brecker brothers and whatnot. But
because they play with P Funk.
Yeah, everyone all played the funk. I mean, they can all play funk, but like when it comes down to it, it's like they are Maceo, and neither is anyone else Bernie Worrell, and that's kind of like why we had to talk about that today.
Exactly, man. Because like those guys, I mean, they took it to the level that it was supposed to be. Like showing you like the correct way. Like this is how you're supposed to do this thing.
Yeah.
Especially
right,
like,
Fred Wesley on trombone.
I mean, dude, like you don't hear nobody crushing trombone like that. I mean,
right.
Well, nowadays, I mean, shout outs to Trombone Shorty and Big Sam.
Sure.
But it's like there's not like as many guys, and for me, I'll be honest. Like trombone is my favorite horn to listen to for the funk.
Okay.
It's just like it's more powerful, It's like I love like the saxophone and the alto sax. It's cool, man. It's clean.
Yeah.
It's really clean,
Sure.
I mean, sometimes cats can go to like it can be like too clean or it becomes smooth, and then like like smooth jazz. We're trying to stay away from that. Like you don't really see like a smooth jazz trombone player.
Yeah. Why would they do that? Yeah, exactly. That would be something to see. I think we got some trombone players in the audience. You know what I mean? Like, maybe while you're quarantined, you can like show me and D'Vibes what smooth trombone would sound like.
Well, I'm just like like it just still, but for the funk, I mean, it just comes in. It comes in so heavy, man. it's like especially when like you get a really killing trombone player, it's like that's it right there, you know.
Without question. I want to get into it. Some people online were asking about decks. I think I actually have like an official update from Dex. I can play it right off my phone. I don't know if what's going to happen to your phone call vibes when I do this, and I might drop you, but if I drop you, I'm going to call you back, Jack. But anyway, here, I'm going to see if I can play this. Actually, you know what? I'm going to call you right back because I have a feeling that it's going to be reduced audio under the call. So let me get you back. I'm going to do a quick little update from Dexy. This was Uncle Traveling Dex in Melbourne, okay? He took the leap of faith. He got on the plane, got over the border from Queensland to Victoria, I think is how it works. And he had to lay low for like 12 to 14 hours waiting for his next plane to take off in hopes that like the last minute crunch on everyone leaving before the end of the day is basically when they're shutting it all down. He just wanted to make sure his plane went out. Who knew what was going to happen? But, well, let's take it from Dex. Let's see what he has to say.
Here it is. Uncle Traveling Dex update from Down Under. I'm in. Not been randomly selected for extra screening. Got motherfucking Sneezy Pete just chilling in the airport. Got to stand over here by myself. Ebenezer Sneezer over there. Not even sure how I feel about that. Looking around. It's going to be a pretty full flight. But they've switched it. It's not the big old Airbus. It's a smaller plane. Because they're cutting down on flights. And really, the general vibe here at the airport is that this is it. This is your last chance to get on out. So they're giving us the old callaroo. And I'm going to get on the plane. I'll send you another update from the plane. Show you the seat. Show you where I'm at. Maybe show you my couple packs of Tim Tams I brought back. Cheers.
All right, that was one. I think if you want to hear some sound from the plane, he gave me like the announcement. He's on the plane.
Cannot be used at any time during the flight.
Switching the airplane.
And just a reminder that smoking and the use of e-cigarettes is not permitted on this flight.
And there you go, folks. See you soon, Dexy. All right. Wow. So, yeah, there it is. He's coming home, folks. He's coming home. Let me get D'Vibes. We're going to talk about that real quick. And then I thank you all for tuning in. I'm having fun. You know, this is just the part. This is just the radio that we like to do, you know. This is what I'm saying. This is the part. So, Dexy's coming home, Vibes.
Nice.
He's coming home. And, you know, we're going to figure out. His plane took off, so he's probably, I don't know how long it takes from Australia to L.A., and then he's got L.A. To the East Coast, so.
That's like 20 hours.
Yeah, I mean, but, you know, I think he gets some time back. So, like, it's one of those flights, like I've done the Japan back where, like, it's like only like a couple hours goes by, technically. It's like you leave, like... And the whole day like stands still while you travel like with the time zones, and it's just yeah, it's just so bizarre.
It is.
Oh, dude, Rohan. Dude, wait, Rohan, if you, I have like a reaction shot for you, right from Dexy on that one. Rohan's telling Dex he's gonna get corona on the flight. That's not nice.
God dang.
Come on, that's not nice. Look, this is what Dex has to say to that. All right, I don't know. I can't even see the latency on this image. I don't even know what's coming in. But there it is. This is what Dexy has to say to you. All right. I still don't even know. Until I know that I'm in frame. I don't even know if I'm in frame right now. It's funny, but yeah, that's the way it is, Vibes. Can you even stand it? Yeah, Sneezy Pete. Exactly. All right. Now I see it. That's how long the delay is. Wait, so it's going to sit there for a while. I can't even see it. Yeah. I'm like too close. See, that's why I knew I needed to hold it out here the whole time, because like I'm too close. There's a glare on it, you know. You can see his mask, but you can't see his Dex. That's because we're both like, especially white people. You know what I mean? Like there's a glare, the phone glare. Like he wouldn't even know that we were there. You can see his face mask, but you can't see us. So it's not you, Lammy. You can't do anything about that. I would have to. Yeah, it's a camera thing. Well, I guess that bit didn't work. I'm going to take the phone down because it didn't work. All right. It's okay. Hilarious. But you'll have to trust me, audience. There was Dex on a picture, and hey, Rohan, we all told him to stay in Australia, okay? Like you can't tell anyone anything. It's a decision that they make on their own, and that's important to know. But like, I really did think when we went back and forth at one point that the prevailing argument was it was becoming very, very scary, okay? And the fear he could be done with the fear if he didn't bother getting on that plane, found his safe quarantine. He would know that he's just got to chill for a couple months, and then, when everything comes back to normal, get on a plane and everything will be normal. And, we could just hug each other and...
Exactly. Now when he comes back, you gotta like spray him down.
Yeah, no, I don't believe that he did shave, Rohan. I do not believe that he did shave when he got on that flight. I haven't shaved yet, so he hasn't shaved yet. It's not like he's just waiting to see what I do, but it's like a tag team thing, like, okay, so maybe we're too old to get in the ring, but maybe we will get in the ring, okay? Maybe there's still like some sort of like NXT, extreme, the return to ECW. Like me and Dex could be the U-Haul brothers, and we would like show up with like a trailer full of like our stuff. You know what I mean? It wouldn't just be like foreign objects. It would be like, some like, keyboards. I would have some keyboards, like, like whatever, who knows what we would have as far as like furniture and just random stuff. Like I would have like, boxes of like my T-shirts, because I store T-shirts. I hoard T-shirts. I don't know. We're just going to have random stuff in our U-Haul because we're the U-Haul brothers and we're going to hit people with it. But I think, I've had a lot of ideas. I'm not going to give them all away now, but if we're going beardless, we're going beardless. So maybe we should have, thought this out beforehand. But that was the one thing. Where were you, Ron, when, you knew he was getting on? Well, you didn't know he was getting on a plane. But if he got on a plane, you should say, if you really, you could have said, hey, Dex, if you get on the plane, you better shave. So I blame you. All right. Let's get some funk. You know what we're gonna do, D-Vibes? Wait, hold on. I've wanted to do this. Wait, where did my Dexter Wansel go? We got to do this for the people one time. All right. Hold on. I figured out if I want you to hear it, I got to put the phone up to the headphones.
Yeah, there it goes.
So you know what to do, right? That does a lot of good for the soul right there. Oh my goodness. I haven't made too many loud noises since quarantine. Like I'm a singer. I make loud, noise with the voice. It's therapeutic.
Oh man!
I saw you. I heard you singing the other day on one of your live streams, and you sounded real nice. Like you've really, taken it to another level. I think.
Yeah, man. Trying to really get back into it, man. Because it's like when you're playing a bunch of keyboards, sometimes people go, "Oh yeah, just sit out and play." It's like, if I got a voice back here, I could use too. I know my harmonies. I love to sing, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when you, dude. I mean, let's blow up your spot. Like when Vibes was hashing out a living. He had just moved in with me, and it's like, okay, Vibes, this is cool, but you gotta tip top. You gotta be gigging. Gotta stay on top of your gigs because when it's rent time, you know what I mean. It's time. It's rent time. And that's what time it is. So, You know, Vibes went out and got himself a gig over at the Howl at the Moon.
Howl at the Moon.
A D-Vibes and a gig like Howl at the Moon. You have no idea, people. You have no idea. It's just like it's just like, you know.
They weren't ready.
You know, they weren't ready. And then they were like, but, you know, like, well, I don't know if we can use you, but, you know, we can use you in Iowa.
Yeah, dude. They tried to send me to Kansas, man. I was like, I had like a good thing going, man. I come in like a couple of nights of the week, you know.
Like, come in here, Vibes. Like, let's have a conversation. Like, this is the management over at Howl at the Moon. You know, like we see big things in you. You know, so big in fact that no, you can't play here anymore. But you know, what do you think of Kansas?
I was like, Kansas? You expect me to move to Kansas? Kansas?
I don't think the offer was like, you know, like the kind of money that could get someone to move to Kansas neither.
Well, I mean, it actually was some pretty good money. But I mean, Kansas?
Fair. Okay.
Me in Kansas?
Kansas.
I'm just saying, like, you know, I think I might know a couple people in Kansas now. But like, I mean, like, Kansas?
Yeah, all I know about Kansas is
I'm like the brink of like moving to New York, and you're talking about Kansas?
Kansas, right? Kansas.
Yeah. There's like a tumbleweed. There's like a tumbleweed blowing in front of the organ. Like,
we're talking about Kansas. They're like, hey, D-Vibes, you know, hey, you know, nice cat. No, you're really, really talented. Real funky. You know, you got that thing.
Yeah.
But you know, bam! Oh wow, he's hip. He's cool. I know exactly what you need. How about have you ever thought of moving to Kansas?
That's gonna be a no for me, dog.
That's a no for me, dog. So yeah, that did not happen, and thankfully that chapter was over. And you know, that was something that was fun.
That was some fun times, though, man.
Yeah, I went down there once. Yeah.
That was actually a pretty fun gig.
Well, because you know they needed someone to like cover drums from time to time. You know, they had toys lying around, is what it was. it's like you know, it's like other people were taking it like, oh, I better play these songs correctly. Vibes was like, oh yeah, right, songs, whatever. I'm just playing with toys right now, like I'm getting paid. It's like, hey, Vibes, no, over here. Will you put that down? Put that down.
Well,
put the guitar down.
Like. They were saying if it wasn't your time to play piano, then you had to play other instruments. Like it was kind of a requirement. You have to learn how to play other instruments.
You are perfect for that type of scenario. You
know, it's like, you know, because sometimes they make you can play like a song by yourself, or you can play a song like with the backing band. You know, and I was like, okay, you know, I think the problem I had was I kind of stretched the songs a little bit too much for like. Maybe like the guy who was the supervisor at the time, you know, I took too many keyboard solos, but I mean it's called a piano bar, and I am a piano player. So
by the way, that's like a label that has followed you around. That's not just a unique to Howl at the Moon scenario. By the way, it's like Vibes takes a lot of solos.
Right? It's like, man,
why not?
Man. It's like, dude, I love the way you play, man, but can you just like. Dang, dude, I love you.
No, he said it. He said it. I remember. Didn't he say tone it down?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know,
you're not gonna tell young D-Vibes to tone it down. People do that, and then like, you know, he ends up moving on. You know what I mean? Because it's like, nah, dude. It's like Vibes gonna be Vibes. It was nice seeing you on the road with Shots Fired, DJ Williams and Shots Fired,
dude,
where they let you play a whole show
on guitar.
Yeah, on your, you know, right out from behind the rig on guitar with frontline keyboard players, folks. It's possible.
And then I mean, like, and like the thing is, I'm playing all the parts. I'm playing the Rhodes, I'm playing the chords. It's like. You know, I feel like if you want somebody to play with you and you give them the music and say, here's the parts, then that's different. It's saying, hey, yo, why don't you come play with me? But just do your thing. And then, like, I can't say, like, yo, do your thing. And then, like, oh, man, well, it's kind of like, it's kind of you're trying to get too much attention or something. It's like I was just doing my thing the whole time, you know.
Yeah, right. Well, what are you gonna do? You know, my thoughts right about now, I'm trying to figure out what we're doing here. I mean, like, I would be remiss, D-Vibes, if I did not get into, like, you know, what's going on today. It's like, you know, I was watching the news earlier, and it was like, you know, I'm watching, like, two different, like, opposite shows. You know what I mean? On one hand, you have, you know, the governor of New York telling us, like, to brace for impact, basically, because, like, the worst is so far ahead of us. Like, in a week or two, they're expecting to run out of supplies in New York. They're expecting to, you know, we're all just bracing for impact right now, based on what the medical experts are telling us. And then you have the president who's saying, you know, 2 weeks from now, we'll all be back at work. Meanwhile, the medical experts are saying, yeah, no, we're probably not going anywhere for 2 months, and we're headed towards like Italy level medical catastrophe.
I mean that's because people just are not taking this thing seriously.
Yeah, well, how can you blame them when the president says we're going to be back at work, everything's over in 15 days?
Hey, you have to realize, you know, the guy that, he tweets most of everything and then goes back and tweets another thing. Like, you know, I mean, as much as I want to listen to him for a credible source, like right now, it's just not like a stable answer because it's going to change.
It's really as simple as
he's really saying, like, I didn't know people died from the flu. You know, like you're saying, like, whoa, like that's crazy. Like,
well, listen, I mean, if there's anyone out there who hasn't figured out that our president is an asshole, then, you know, they are themselves an asshole. You know what I mean? And sorry if I got personal with, like, one person out there who, like, you know, I think Trump's a nice guy. Well, you're an asshole. Sorry. Well, that's kind of how it is, you know? Like, I'm sorry, not sorry, okay? Because enough time has gone by that, like, people are dying because of the negligence here. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, you know, like, I saw him in his press conference. He's like, everyone sues Trump. You know, I think he third persons himself a lot. And he's like, yeah, they sue me. You know, everyone's suing Trump. You know, like they want to sue Trump. And it's like, yeah, well, everyone sues me for everything, like my lawyer fees. Well, get ready for it, because when you get out of the presidency, everyone wants a piece of your ass, my friend. You know, they're coming for you on so many fronts. Like a lot of these cases that they can't prosecute you for. You're like, oh, I'm the president. I'm like, yeah, but you won't be forever. You know, even if you like, you know, cheat them one time, you're gonna have to pull some shit to end up with a third term. So, like, one of these days, they're going to be waiting for you. You know, you better hope you get that corona, because you're not gonna want to sit in the slammer. I'll tell you that much. I don't think there's any presidents that are going to follow you that are going to want to pardon you. That's just my personal opinion, D-Vibes. This guy is a skunk. All right.
But the crazy thing is, man, you know, he technically was impeached and got acquitted. You know, so it's just saying, like, you just don't know what happened. So,
oh well, Vibes. Let's get out on that. You know, I know. Okay, I just want you to know. We know. It's just we know what's going on. There's a bunch of bullshit going on, and the party system is broken. It's fractured. It don't work. Neither party. Hold on, Vibes. Neither party represents the people. They represent themselves, and they're supposed to represent us. And I think everyone on every side is tired of it. And if anything, and if they didn't get it before, when loved ones start dying around here, then it's really going to get real for the people. And a lot of people are going to be looking for someone to blame. And guess who they're going to blame? The guy who deserves it, Donald Trump. Anyway, that's it for the show today, Vibes. I'm going to go into my wrap up. You can hang out for that. Just give me a second here. Well, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at the end of the Michael Butler Butz Show Quarantine Edition. You know, we're doing what we can out here. I want to give props to John Lammy, the producer. Thanks for always coming here and being down for the cause. Like, you heard me tell D-Vibes on the show the other day that being down for the cause, like, is an especially meaningful thing to me. So, thank you for that. And the listeners, you're down for the cause too. I appreciate your support. I'm doing everything I can here to keep myself from losing it, but at the same time, I'm also trying to perhaps, if I do a good job entertaining you, maybe you'd see clear to make a donation to my Venmo at Butz Show, B-U-T-Z Show. You want to inflame that little address at the bottom of the page there, Lammy? Here, why don't you do that? I'm going to go back to the beginning because I'm not even close to being done. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody. I don't know what I'm going to do from one day to the next. I got, Nigel wants back, Schmeens wants back, Nikki wants back. We're just getting started. And Ricky wants back. We're all going to keep doing this stuff. I was just thinking the other day, it's pretty clear that, Smalley, right?
Yeah.
He should be a regular on this show, right?
He definitely should be, man, dude. Todd is one of my favorite people in the whole world. Definitely one of my favorite bass players I've ever seen play. And then, dude, it's like, man, when you listen to him play, it's just like everything you want to hear out of a bass.
Oh, without
everything
question.
You want to hear out of a bass, man.
Yo, I just gotta say, I love going behind the scenes. It's like we'll do something and then I'll talk about it. I was like, maybe at some point I'll mention the Venmo and just be ready to beef it up, it'll live quietly in the corner. If you figure out some way to animate it. Do that. And I'm watching Lammy, I'm trying to wonder what's going on. He's got this paint program and he's toggling the color wheel. Man, he's doing all these crazy things. He's self-animating. And I'm watching the thing, it's going wild on the thing. Good job, my friend. Good job. Some people don't want me to reveal secrets, but I don't care. This is what it is. This is like a warts and all radio broadcast. This is what it is. I'm gonna play D-Vibes' live stream. Did you queue it up to a place that you liked? It's dropped in the middle? You don't know? You did a little scouting on it though, because he wouldn't send me the track because his computer was acting funny. Dude, you and Nigel with your janky computers, bro.
Man, well, one day I'll be able to get if he goes to the last one, the one where I was holding as the guitar. That's probably the best one.
Yeah. Maybe he's on the wrong one. You know what I mean? Because, in the beginning of that one, I have that here. I can pull that up. Maybe I'll do. Wait, here. You know what? I still need. No, he's laying the clav on that. Back that up to the beginning. Is that in the beginning? He's got the guitar there, and he's doing the Bernie. There it is. All right, well, okay, well, that means I need a little bit more cadence left. I did, pause it for now. I just needed to, I can't, go out without a last note. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. Here's a little taste of D-Vibes' live stream from earlier. And we'll be back tomorrow. Peace out, Vibes.
Peace out, bro.
Yeah, I guess I'm back. Yeah, we're having a little trouble with that live stream, but I'm gonna hang out. So if it screws up again, yeah, I don't know what's happening here. Well, I think maybe I'll run it off my phone. We can do it like that. But that's the funk of it, because we're trying to do that. Yeah, just let that play, and it's gonna play until it plays, and then it'll play. This is why people, when I ask for an MP3. Why I asked for the MP3. Yeah, we're having a little trouble with that live stream, but I'm gonna keep. Wait, there's like a hangout, a boogeyman in here. Okay, all right. Well, that's finished. We finished that. All right. So I do have another audio source here, and wow, I can see D'Vibes. Okay, there he is. All right, let's do this.
All right, I understand now.
Take two.
We're back. We're gonna keep working on this track. I'm gonna take y'all back into the funk zone. You know what I'm saying? So let's see what we got.